What's up, everyone? Welcome back to your favorite show and mine, Zach Miller Says. So imagine that you are looking through a bunch of data points. You are looking through your business and you recognize that this crazy audacious goal that you have, this crazy audacious thing that you want to do to become this big business juggernaut could potentially be in jeopardy with the style of business that you've actually created. What's up, everyone? I'm Zach Miller, host of Zach Miller Says, the most originally named show ever. I mean, if you're ever just trying to figure out like how to name your show, just take your name and add Says afterwards. Actually, if you do that, just call it whatever your name is, Says Show, powered by Zach Miller, because then that would make me feel a lot better. Today, we're here with Kevin Daisey, the founder and chief marketing officer. I'm going to call him the chief marketing aficionado. What are some other words that start with O? It's probably a bad one. Organizer. I don't know. I've known Kevin for about a decade and maybe even longer than that. But what I think is really, really interesting is how his company, Array Digital, has done some really interesting stuff over the years. But one of their biggest changes was after a merge where him and Eric J. Olson merged together and really shifted things off of what their kind of potentially core principles were. And so we're going to deep dive into that. But first, let's welcome Kevin to the Gray Shirt Club. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on. Absolutely. Good to see you. Good to see that we both wore gray today.
Of course, I had to,
it's a little cloudy outside.
Get the jean jacket on because, nothing like being outside in 70-degree weather with the rain on and all that craziness.
If you're going to be out in the rain, you might as well look good,
Exactly. I mean, it's not like you can wash this. So Kevin, take me back to, 18, 24 months ago. You guys are reviewing kind of your profit and loss statements, your just general business stuff. Was this pre or post profit first, by the way?
Ooh,
do you remember?
Good question. I'm pretty sure it was pre profit first.
Okay. So Profit First is a book that that basically allows you to envelope method your business so that you only spend money in appropriate places, and as a business you take profit first instead of last, like many people do. It's a great book.
Excellent.
One of the most underrated financial books for a business too, I think, which is great. But okay, so you and Eric are reviewing documents and walk me through this whole process.
Yeah, so really we were on track to sell software, so custom software, mobile applications and stuff like that, and getting more away from like just websites and some marketing stuff that I was doing, SEO. And at the time we did all of that stuff. So we did a little bit of digital marketing and we did mostly software, and that was where we were going. So really it was not just looking at financially where we were at the time. We were fine. But it was more in the pipeline and sales that were coming is really what kind of triggered this. So we had a little time, but not much time. So what we were really looking at is, we have a lot of deals pending and they started to kind of slip. And we went from, hey, we got to hire a crap ton of people to, if none of these deals come through, we are going to be screwed pretty quickly because our, the team was expensive. Software is, developers are expensive. And so we were looking at kind of what do we need monthly to survive and how far can we go if we have no work coming in.
And traditionally in software agencies, it's very project-based, not recurring-based as well, correct? Yeah.
Exactly. So a project ends, you're right back to ground zero. So there was two kind of moments. One, we had an accountant that asked us the question, hey guys, tell me what you're making next month or next quarter. Basically give them, some kind of predictions or analysis of where we think we'll be income wise. And we were just like, I have no idea. We don't have no way to know that. Everything we do is project based and we just don't know what we're going to get and there's no way to predict that. And software is very hard to sell. It's hard to know what your client is and who needs that. There's like a sweet spot. So we just didn't have an answer to that, and so that was a problem that we worked to resolve. And it led to us looking into all the services that we offered and which were reoccurring. And we found out that we had about this much that was actually reoccurring, but it was very profitable. And so we started to kind of dive into, okay, what if we did more of that? What if we went that direction? And so that ultimately led to us. And I said there was two things. So it was one, the accountant asking us, and the other one was, looking at the profit of the different services that we offered. And so, yeah, that led to us quickly making a shift to strictly doing digital marketing. And obviously some of those big deals kind of fell through. So it didn't allow us much other choice. Like we had to either pivot or die. Right. And we had to make the decision quickly. We did work with our team members and people that we had on staff to make sure that they were taken care of, that they could transition to other positions, and some we kept around as long as we could. And then they all had nice transitions out as we switched to build up a digital marketing team. So, and we did that pretty quickly.
Where do you think that your skill sets were? Because I know with Eric, your other co-founder, who might be listening.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Eric, what's up? Yeah. He was not a marketer. He was like as nerd as could be. Like, he's big into software, right? And that was like love, right? But like, did anyone on the team other than the person that one subset have like any skills in digital marketing? Because it seems like it's a pretty abrupt and dramatic change.
Yeah. So, with my company, when me and him merged, we were definitely more marketing and website. We did marketing websites. We did SEO already. And we already, did our own social media, and we did a lot of design work and stuff like that. But we didn't do advertising. We didn't do social media management. We didn't do a lot of the things that we do now. So I had that knowledge. Some of my existing team members that came over, which are still employed now, and some that aren't, but they had kind of that design experience, marketing, know-how. So for a few people we had, it was fine. We also had Jake Maines, who's now our creative director. He kind of came into the mix as we merged, and it was kind of like, hey, you're the only one that really knows how to do all this stuff. And he still had a lot to learn, but we basically said, Jake, we're gonna grow your department within the company, so which is digital marketing, and the rest of it's going to go away, and eventually we're just going to be digital marketing. So a lot of it was on his shoulders. We all jumped in together, and yeah, Eric was straight up a software developer, and he didn't really know much about all this stuff, and so he quickly jumped into gear to learn it himself and to understand it. And 6 months to a year, just nothing but immerse in himself. And of course I jumped in to immerse myself more and understand all this stuff even more than we did before.
What was the
scariest? We all
scariest?
just learned a crap ton really fast.
Right.
And we got clients. For me, it's getting new work and clients. I started signing up clients for digital marketing and focusing on that versus trying to sell software and mobile apps.
So as a company that at the time had put in a lot of brand awareness campaigns and a lot of, boots on the ground and stuff for decades, right? Or at least many, many years, that's saying like, hey, basically we do software, to then abruptly basically be like, hey, we don't do software anymore. I guess a two-part question, like where was the risk in that, in your guys' mind, of basically removing software from the service arsenal? And then two, like rebranding yourselves to actually be known as something of an authority, to be a dominant brand in digital marketing, even though you guys were fairly new into this.
Yeah, good question. So
I'm the best question asker in the world, best interviewer. You should expect that.
You're pretty darn good. I'll tell you that. So, okay. So a couple things. For one, yeah. I think for one, we were fortunate enough to choose a name that was, that we could be either thing, because Array Digital was in the name. And so that was a good thing. We didn't have to rebrand or change our name again, because we already went through that, and that was challenging and painful.
Because the name had already happened at that point.
Yeah, we were already Array Digital, and our tagline at the time was digital product experts. And so that meant anything digital, whether it's software, apps, websites, whatever we deliver you digitally, that's, kind of our deal. And so we still did digital marketing. We just talked about it very little. So we already did it. Now we're going to say, hey, that's all we do. So it was actually, it was hard to do that, because for one, I was very excited coming into this to get away from digital marketing and websites only and some stuff, and get into this cool stuff, the software, the mobile apps. I was excited for
because you had never really done that as a person, or what?
I sold a lot of our deals, and that's how we merged. Kind of, we had a couple of deals that I brought on the table that kind of led to us merging. So I was familiar, but I just, we didn't have the ability. That's why we had to merge with Eric's team. But I was excited about the new frontier of, not just websites, but this cool stuff, software and mobile apps and all this, whatever. So I was excited to go down that path. And then when it turned around to say, well, actually, we're going to go back closer to what I was doing anyway, but we're going to soup it up, and we're going to add these other services. I noticed what we had to do. And I was totally fine with it, because I was pretty comfortable with it anyway. I don't like to flop around, and I'm kind of person, like, I started my company when I was 23, and, I've never been known for anything else but building websites and doing SEO and stuff like that. So to go to say, hey, we do software now, to going, actually, we don't do software now. We do this other thing. It's just kind of tough. And actually, up until the last couple of months, even, we'll have people like reach out for mobile apps or software, because it's hard to get rid of what you've put out there and what people think you are. There was a tough time where we were still getting offers to do software and projects, even websites, because we didn't do anything reoccurring. We would charge you like $6,000 for a website, and that'd be it. And we had to start saying no to project work. And that took some time, because we had to transition right to a reoccurring model. And we also had to have enough money per month to pay everybody.
And you guys had tried a little bit of software recurring, and it just wasn't happening. It wasn't working, or?
We did a few. So what we did is, say if it's a $100,000 project, then we would break that into payments. So, $6,000 or $7,000, whatever it would be a month. But traditionally, we were used to getting like $20,000 payments a month, which we needed to pay all the staff and the people. And so we had to either cut that or just slowly move out of it. And so we had to start saying no. Hey, I want a website. I want to buy it. I want to pay for it in 2 payments. And they were like, no, we do it monthly, and that's it. And so it was having to transition it, and at some point say, okay, we're not doing this anymore. We had to get rid of time tracking. So we went to a unlimited paid time off model. We got rid of time tracking completely. So that was a hard kind of stop right there too.
From an employee standpoint, you got rid of time tracking. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We track all our time so that we could bill the hours we needed to for projects. Well, when we went to reoccurring, it was, well, a website costs you, $500 a month for a year minimum commitment. And that added us up to the same price we would have charged possibly with a project. But our goal wasn't just to get a quick hit, right? It's the buildup of that book of business, the contracts. And so actually, I got some numbers. Like, I want to say we had software support. So it was one of software support, website support, hosting, and some SEO was all the recurring revenue we had. And it was $17,000 a month. And it sounds like a lot of money, but at the time, we're a $1 million company. Our payroll was like $700,000 a year, or north of that. So $17,000 a month was definitely not enough to support the company. But within 1 year, we went from I think 17 to like,
well, your payroll is 58.3. So you're making 17, which is a delta of what, 41,000 that you have to come up with every month. And there's your answer right there.
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So you have to
plus rent, plus utilities, all that other
right,
shit.
right. And so 41,000, I mean, just on payroll alone, 41K, and you only have 17 recurring. I mean, you have to find that other thing. And as someone who's run a software agency in the past, like with, I think even a double that payroll, like I get it. I get what it's like to have to try and make that every month. And then, by the way, when you don't meet a deadline, what that's like, right? And so I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I don't think people, yes, the project size and the budget of all that stuff can be a large budget, and that's wonderful. However, it can be a very large challenge when you're a week off, because I mean, in the case from before, like we were barely getting by, I guess. I don't even remember the exact numbers, but like it was tough, right? And so you meet a 1 week deadline. So whatever you might have been at even, now you're a week behind. And if that's $10,000 on someone, or 10 divided by 4, that's $2,500 times 4 or 5 people. There's 10 grand. You add that up over time, like it gets very scary very quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, just doing the numbers, we're like, whoa, like we don't have enough cash reserves or anything to survive long, so we can just let it happen, and we all completely go out of business, or we do something quickly about it now. And I think what it was hard is you got to make sacrifices. Like we weren't going to be able to go from making, bringing in $70 to $100,000 a month in project work to, well, we want $100,000 a month now in reoccurring work. Well, yeah, that's not going to happen. So we had to make sacrifices of saying no, because here's the thing. Every time we said yes to and we had to do some, like we just couldn't go cold turkey because we'd be out of business, but we had to do some projects here and there. And then we slowly started to be like, no.
How'd you handpick those?
As the reoccurring was building up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how we handpicked them. I think it was just based on if there was a client that had a project that they weren't willing to do a reoccurring, and they just wanted to, here's the money. And some people are wired that way. They have money set aside, or they want to spend the money before the end of the year so that they show that expense for their taxes. So whatever it may be, we just had to pick and choose a couple here and there. So, but the thing is, at some point, we had to start saying no. And Eric was really pushing this hard. And I'm a little bit more like, hey, we got a sale. Like we can close this deal. And really the reality is that every time we said yes to a project, we had to continue tracking our time. We had to continue having our employees track time, and it pushed the date of, releasing the handcuffs. It pushed it further down. So, okay, now we still have a project. So until this project's done, we're still, tracking time.
Well, not to mention you build a product for someone on a service that you don't actually now want the world to know about. And so everything that you're trying to get people to remember about you is now actually for some defunct service, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's hard.
Yeah. So at some point we had just to kind of pull the plug and just say, hey, that's it. We're done.
Well, I remember even someone that had spoken at one of your events. I think it was like Danny Rubin. He's like, hey, like I'm about to send Array this software project. And you guys it was Marketers Anonymous plus the event. So I mean, marketing
that was probably a year after we switched completely.
Right. But like it just shows that like even people that are there, like you did such a good job of marketing yourselves before you guys were even a marketing company that it just sticks. And so like you gotta like I've told you guys this many times, like you gotta like push it down people's throats so that they remember. I mean, it's unfortunate, but what happens if you don't push it down people's throats, shove it down people's throats? There's got to be a more like less traumatic way. No one wants somebody pushed down their throat. You just got to like continue to do it. Like frequency is incredibly important. And what's funny is like people don't talk about frequency. I don't know why. Like you can't just do something once. Like you got to do it 1 billion times, right? And when I say 1 billion, like I'm almost not underestimating that number. Like you have to do it a lot, because you want that person to, number one, see you, and then number one, to hopefully remember what you do. Or like
there's new eyeballs watching every time. So you're always constantly putting that message out, and hopefully people that thought you did this see that and get the message. And I've obviously you've helped us out with this too. Like, hey, why you guys skating around the fact that you're digital marketing experts? And you're like, just you got to claim it, and that's what you guys are. Don't like just say that like you guys are digital marketing experts.
I mean, you are, right?
Even though we absolutely are, but even as we were building a new team and kind of tweaking things, we were doing our best work, of course, and we got our clients. We're looking out for them every time, but of course we're learning stuff sometimes, and it's an ongoing learning thing. But just to go, hey, we're experts. That's it. And start using that terminology really helped us out a lot. And
what took it? Well, like I feel like a lot of people just don't think that they are an expert, and that's why they probably are so against it. Like, what made you actually just be like, you know what, like this is what we're gonna have to do?
Well, again, I think one of the was talking with you. I think we actually meet with Zach every month, so we hire Zach, if you will, to come coach us, and so we sit down. My whole management team actually once a month with Zach and kind of talk about things, and gives us good insight on what we're doing, and he's kind of like a second set of eyes.
The best insight. Don't just say good.
The best insight we've ever had ever. And if we're going to do 100 million, we have to have Zach Miller behind us.
The Thrilla and Vanilla.
Your fee might have to go up, but so yeah, honestly, it's just it's you think you're doing the right things, you put stuff out there. And then, Zach and other people, there's a lot of people that'll give us feedback or whatever to say, hey, why are you saying this? Why don't you just go in for the throat? Like, let's call it what it is. You guys are just marketing experts and own it, because that's what you start to speak and that's what you start to become. So whether you're there all the way or not, and I've told people this now, on talks and stuff like that, just own it, claim it. And you're one day you wake up and go, oh yeah.
Well, I think also like you have to start speaking it on a more frequent basis as well, so that you can start to retain that information as well as to what you're potentially saying, right? Like I remember Eric saying something to me recently where he said, oh, like I'm on all these podcasts now and like it's starting to roll off the tongue, where before maybe it didn't as much. And so by saying something more, you as an individual or a company become more comfortable with it, which becomes a valuable asset for yourself. So, right. Say it frequently, start doing it.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing too. If someone's asking you a question about what you do, you're an expert.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's been huge for us and kind of, owning that stuff and recognizing it. And we have done, my team is amazing, and we've won tons of awards and industry awards, local awards, you name it. And, so we're walking the walk, I guess, and talking the talk. And I will say this too, like, it's kind of funny going through different things, like, for me, even personally, but I started out as Kevin, the website guy, like working from my house. And then at some point I was like, well, I don't want it to be Kevin. I want it to be ID Web. And I didn't have any employees. I had a contractor maybe, and that was it. And I started changing my message, like, well, yeah, you got ID Web and this, the studio and the company. And I didn't want people to think as Kevin, the website guy, but more the website company.
Because you wanted to be bigger than you were?
Absolutely. I think we all do in the beginning. And so then I actually got to the point where I did hire somebody and then started to grow. But I think my messaging on that early on and just saying, you know what, we are this company, it's not just Kevin, helped get me way further than if I just sat back and said, well, I'm just a freelancer and that's all I do. So that perception worked. It helps. And then I got to the point where, okay, I have like 5 or 6 employees. I have an office, my third office probably at this point. And we had a pretty good name recognition. We got tons of leads. And then now, boom, we're Array Digital. So it's like, okay, now it's
award winning. I just read this chapter in this book, chapter 17 of this book, that says when you win an award, make sure to start calling yourself award winning company, Array Digital. Yeah,
that's right. So then we became Array Digital, and I had to kind of.
No, you didn't even say it. Award winning business, Array Digital.
We say it right now. So right now on everything we do, it says award-winning digital marketing agency.
Got it.
And we put that pretty much everywhere. And which award, it doesn't matter. We have tons of them, and we got 2 in the last week, I think. Which
Wowzers.
we haven't even talked about yet.
Do you want to tell the world here?
I don't know if they can handle it.
Is it the big one?
Well,
Is it
we
the
got
second?
Small Business of the Year, which we put that out already, I think.
The Chesapeake version.
We got the Chesapeake version. We don't know if we win the overall until the event. Jake Maines, who's our creative director, he just got Millennials on the Move. So he just had his photo shoot this week. I submitted him for that. He just got published. He was also just an Inside Business for his promotion. And then we just Coastal Virginia Magazine called me yesterday, and we got best of for advertising agencies.
So let's
I don't know the details of what we got. So they're supposed to let me know.
Got it. Let's slide into that. So I think this is something that's interesting, and it's kind of on the frequency aspect, right? So like you're a digital marketing firm, right? And the majority of the services, if not over all of the services that you guys do, are all online. However, there are the things that you're talking about right now have nothing to do really with digital marketing, right? They're more physical things, right? Yeah. So seems a little out of place. Why would someone put themselves on a platform that isn't in their wheelhouse or isn't digital when the entire world is only digital? And I mean that with like definitely a bit of sarcasm, by the way.
Well, as my friend Zach Miller always says, if you qualify, apply. So for us, awards are they're great. Some mean more than others, but it's and you know, like the pilot or the chamber or things that are, you know, they're more physical. Like the chamber is definitely they have a website, right? They're online, but it's they have physical meetups. They have physical events. Obviously,
in the
right
past
now
they did. Who knows if any of these things will ever come back, right?
Exactly. So, but those things are still important in the community and in our region. They play a part, and we don't want just industry awards for our work, but we want to recognize locally because, well, our mission, if you don't know, is to dominate digital marketing in Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads is where we live. It's the place, you know, the cities that we live in. So we want to dominate here by just boom. We are the company you think about, at least in the list of companies that you're looking at.
Right.
And until we get there, you know, we're not happy. Industry awards are great for if you're looking at bigger clients. A lot of the local clients here are just not equipped or sophisticated enough, honestly, to know what a Webby Award is or to care about, you know, a Daisey Award or a Communicator Award. And those are all great awards, and it's for the actual work that we've done for a client. Versus
it's kind of like a Grammy. Like no one knows what a Grammy really is. I mean, do you know what a Grammy is?
I could throw a Grammy on our website and people are like, oh, they got a Grammy.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is like, that means you make good music. Okay. Well, a Daisey Award or a Webby Award means you do good web-based things, web-based marketing. So
it's all good. I guess what I'm saying is I like a mix, but honestly, if there's an award, I'm going to go after it. I'm going to get it.
I love it.
And so locally, I don't know what we haven't gotten really from local standpoint other than like some we're not qualified for. So, but we've got best place to work. That means a lot to me, right? That means our team had to be on that survey and be interviewed and vote us in or out. Like, do you like working here? So that's a real type of award to me. Small Business of the Year is very hard to get. And they look at all our books, our financials, our taxes, and our growth, and then our involvement in the community. So there's some of those awards mean a lot. And then some are just like a voting type of thing, you know, the best of I don't care as much about. But and Eric would say this. He didn't care. He's like, I don't want to do that one. That one's crap. Like, I don't want to share that. I don't care. I want it. It's one more thing.
Well, I mean, if you think about it,
in your face with this.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, most people won't apply, right? For a plethora of different reasons, right? Whether the reasons like Eric said, or because they don't think they're qualified, or because
afraid of failure,
they don't know what to say, whatever. Well, here's the thing. it's a ton of free publicity. It's an opportunity to get in front of new people, and it's probably on a media or a platform that most people that probably has a bigger reach than you. So why wouldn't you do it? And what happens if you just get nominated and you don't win? Well, then you can just say you're a whatever nominated award, like a Grammy Award nominated person.
You can spin it.
Yeah. Eric Olson says, Zach Miller, why is there a question mark behind you? I don't know. Why?
Ooh, he's the Riddler.
He's the Riddler. Whitney Duenos says, hey, friends, miss your faces. And then Eric says he's got to leave. What a nice person.
He's got to leave?
I don't know. So let's
get to some pivoting.
Let's get to some pivoting. So digital marketing. Is it cool? Do you like it?
Absolutely. We are in love with digital marketing, and we're constantly working. I mean, everyone in my whole team is constantly working to learn more and get better. And we kind of track all that and look to get better results constantly. Right. And actually the only way we stay in business or keep a client is that we constantly communicate with them. We give them everything unlimited. So you don't like call us 10 times and we bill you extra for it. It's all inclusive, but
no, not like the lawyers.
Exactly. So, and we've done some pretty cool stuff with our pricing that most people don't have, where it is all inclusive pricing. It's one fee no matter what. But if we don't get good results and continue to get better results, we're not going to stick around and they're not going to keep us. So,
right.
So that's the challenge. So it's very hard. It's very challenging. There's always new stuff like social media. There's new platforms. There's new things coming out. Platforms make changes, and we're kind of bound to them. Like Google, we're bound to Google and their platform. They could change whatever they want.
Well, let's talk about marketing then in that kind of case, right? Where there is a frequency that is necessary. And you don't necessarily know what platform to go on, but the message, I think, is the most important thing, right? Like figuring out who your target is and then providing a message to them. Like, when is the frequency too much? Like, when is there overkill of, hey, I shouldn't be saying this again?
Yeah. So, typically if you're looking for that you're going to be placed somewhere or Facebook or Google's display network, whatever, you're typically looking at between like 5 and 8 times a month to where a person would see it that many times is a good number to be on. At some point over time, a few months in, then you're going to start to have ad fatigue. So you want to change up your creative, change up your message. But if you can show, if I can put an ad in front of Zach 8 times a month consistently, then that's going to create what we call ad recall, meaning Zach's going to remember us. And if he does a search on Google to go find a service like we offer, he's got a good chance of remembering Array Digital and searching for us by name. So by doing the certain frequency, the right frequency, and this could be different in different places that you put, but then it'll actually create search volume in your market and possibly for your name. So, if we were just a blanket Hampton Roads with our ads constantly about digital marketing and Array Digital, then it should increase the search volume for those things in our area, if that makes any sense. Now, if you're advertising something like, Google search, that's different. You're not looking for ad frequency or nothing like that. You need to be there when they search for you and your service. You're either there or you're not there. And, that's completely different. And the message needs to resonate with what they search with. So if I search for, Facebook management, well, my ad can't say Array Digital, award-winning digital marketing. It needs to say,
because it's not relevant at that point. They're looking for Facebook ad management.
It should say Array Digital, the best at Facebook management or whatever you want to say. So it needs to be very relevant. So you have to have different ad sets with different messaging that is relevant to what they're searching, so that they click on it. And then, of course, from there you have to have the right website and the messaging and page that'll coincide with all that.
What are you watching on Netflix?
Ooh, I'm trying to think where we watched that movie, or The Outer Banks, which when I saw the preview, I was like, this is terrible, man. It's not even the Outer Banks. Like, what the heck is this crap? And then my wife was like, well, maybe we should take a look at it. It looks kind of good. And so I cut the trailer off before it ended. And then the end of the trailer was like, oh, this might be all right. So it's a little goofy.
Isn't it like a high school beach town sitcom?
Yeah. It's like, they say it's like the modern day Goonies, but I wouldn't go that far. They're basically on the search for like a treasure, and they're getting like shot at and all kinds of stuff. So,
it sounds very wonderful.
It's a little dumb, but anyway, we were watching that, and then we just finished something. What the heck was it?
What do you learn from like watching content, right? So like, I think that there's so much that you can do from a marketing perspective if you're listening and watching content in the ways that they pull people in, right? So, think rewind the video player 5 years, and TV shows are trying to get people to watch the next week. And so they are trying to entice someone. They're trying to do something from a climactic part every single week with, less than 2 minutes left. And then they have a series of filler and commercials for the next week to try and get that person to come back and watch that thing, on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on ABC or whatever. Yep. Now with like the virality moments of marathon viewing, which is also called binging.
Yep. Netflix loves that.
You're trying. They hate the word binge though. They want marathon viewing.
Joking.
Got it. You're trying to get someone to watch within 10 seconds. And so is there anything that you're pulling out of that to learn from your own frequency standpoints, from your own marketing stuff? Because I just find it so, I've even been thinking about writing like a book about how ESPN broadcasts like their marquee events, how WWE marquees a pay-per-view, right? Just how they get people to tune in. It's so interesting to me. And so many people don't actually grasp those concepts to do in their own kind of day-to-day marketing.
Well, that's kind of a good point. I mean, so with Netflix, you get the whole season. Boom, here you go. You can watch every single episode, and so they don't really.
Would you want to watch anything else? Right?
Yeah, you can crush it out in one day if you want, and so there's no reason to. So now they got to sell you on just, hey, here you go. We're going to give you this content. So it's more about. I want to go watch Netflix because they keep putting out these awesome pieces of content or these shows that, but it's almost like value up front, right? So where it used to be like, I got to pull you in and keep you hooked and get you to watch over and over again because I have advertising, that you're going to see along the way. And that's how we make money versus like a Netflix where they don't really care about that because they don't advertise. It's just, we want you to stay and continue to spend the $5 or $10 a month with us. So they're going to give you
$5 for Netflix. Who pays that?
I don't know what I pay actually. I'll check.
You pay $13 a month.
I don't even know what I pay. That's the finance manager upstairs. My wife. Well, I'm just saying, whatever. It's immediate content delivery, so it's almost like. If you get someone in a funnel and you give them a little something and you give them a little something more and you want them to keep going and going and going and going.
Right.
But with like the Netflix type of what they've done is it's instant value. Right. And so I don't know how that really affects kind of, some of the things that we're doing, but it's people want value up front and they want it right away. And so like if you send out an email newsletter and they have to click a link and go to all these other places, like give them something. Right up front. So
that word value is such a word that's thrown around a lot. Like, how do you actually like provide value to people though? I mean, I agree with you, right? And I get it, but like to then articulate that to someone and be like, oh, provide value. Like, what is value to someone? And how do you figure that out?
Well, I think you need to really understand your audience and what you're looking for. So I mean, for us, like from a company standpoint, we don't sell anything to anybody, and unless they become a client, and that's a big commitment. It's a lot of money per month, and we have a contract. But where we deliver value from like a client perspective, and when we put out content is, for one, we give out free information, free tips, whatever. But then we're also looking for that free, free phone call. Just talk to us, And then from there, if it's a good fit, then we do a full marketing review, which takes hours of time. And we're willing to do that for a company for free just because they may be a good fit. And there's no good chance that they're going to become a client, but that allows us to at least do our analysis and whatever. So we do a lot of free, we give a lot of value, I guess I could say. So for us, we're hoping that a client sees value in us doing that deep dive analysis. And again, they might not even hire us, but for us, that's what we're doing. For what hasn't worked for us, really, because it's not our wheelhouse, is gated content and trying to snag people's emails to get them in a system. It doesn't work. It works to get eyeballs and people and marketers maybe, but it's not our clients, and it's not the people that really buy from us. And so we just said, you know what, screw it.
Okay, so that's really interesting, right? And I think it also is kind of what I was getting at with the what are you watching on Netflix style of stuff, like what pulls you in and stuff, right? And so you got a lot of marketers that are convinced by a lot of marketers on things that work, but then when it actually comes down to their customers, do people actually do those things? And I think that's where the challenge is, because I think what happens is the answer is a big fat zero.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get in that kind of crap. But
sometimes you're like,
it's
an ebook for what? You want me to read an ebook for what? Like a what?
One of my kids, sure.
There are just certain things. I'm like, this is not the best media distribution for something like this. Yet this is what happens when you listen to marketers, right? And I'm a marketing guy, but I always tell people, I don't follow other marketers. I consume the stuff that I call this the Iron Man content strategy, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but it's basically what I just told you about Netflix, right? Where it's okay, the things that I consume are what I dissect, right? And I say, okay, what worked there? And the overwhelming majority of the time, it's not some silly little thing that is marketing focused in the way that you're saying with gated content and things like that. It's there's no reason, certain ebooks are so silly. There's certain things that no one's ever going to get on a newsletter for. And you just got to be so cognizant of that as the owner of your business. Where do your people hang out, right? Yeah. What do? They probably don't want to read a 27-page ebook on how to shave a beard.
And then there's a good chance that ebook ends with, well, to learn more, take the next step. So I don't know.
I didn't buy that book though, because I still have this monstrosity of a beard going on.
I know. I got a ways to go here. I just feel like a lot of people are afraid to give out content and give out free stuff. When I've seen a lot of people do better when they just give everything for free and put it all out there, and then.
But here's the thing: you're giving that away for free when you have a meeting with someone. So what the heck's the big deal?
Well, actually, there's actually agencies here in Hampton Roads that charge $3,000 or $4,000 for the digital review that we do for free.
Yeah, but if you have a meeting with someone, even before that potential, $3,000 to $4,000 review that you're talking about, I mean, it's just, I don't know, What's a 15-minute call going to do for someone? Are you really that busy that you can't take that call? Right? Would you take a 15-minute meeting to make a $50,000 deal, which is 90% profit?
Sure.
But how many people are well, the problem is they didn't go through my funnel the way that I wanted them to. So therefore, I cannot move them from the left to right. And you see, that's the problem. You see the sequence that I have in this whole thing. I don't know why I have this ridiculous voice right now.
I don't know either.
No, I mean, I don't mean to kid at people, but I mean, literally sometimes it's like you said, we didn't want to take software deals, but sometimes you have to take a software deal, right? And so there's always an asterisk to everything, right? It's just because if an opportunity comes up and it seems like the right fit, there's a difference between taking a meeting with someone that potentially could be a client and taking a meeting with someone because they want to sell you life insurance.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Yeah.
Or cable insurance, right there. Yes. You probably don't need to meet with those people.
Yeah. You see it coming half the time.
Right. And nothing against those people, but I think that there are ways that they can do business they can improve their business so much more if they just, dove into relationships stronger than just being yo, let me show you this and this. It's this is my life here. Like, and now I just met you. It's like, hey, I just met you. Now here's my life insurance number. Now call me maybe. Like, but that's how people do it, right? Because they buy some sequence from they buy some course from someone that says this is a sequence that works and blah 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 blah. And it's like, look, I'm all about numbers, but like humanize these things.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm always like, I'll have a call with anybody, and if you're not a fit, I'll let you know. And
you guys can call Kevin at
I'm going to refer
911.
you to someone that can help you, or even give you free information. Hey, I would do this. I would go do that. I would call this person. Do it yourself, whatever it may be. But you're not going to walk away going, "Crap, I didn't get anything out of that."
I had a
You're going to get free value from me either way, regardless if you sign on with us or pay us anything.
right. By the way, you guys can check out Kevin at the Inn of Linked, and there's the link there. Basically, Kevin Daisey is that. It's Kevin Daisey, all one word. The Inn of Linked is LinkedIn because that's where he likes to hang out. But it reminds me of this scenario that I gave this talk. I gave this keynote talk about 18 months ago, and I was telling people about how on their birthday, I think I've done this for you. If I have someone's cell phone, I will pull out the old celly, be like, "Hey guys," or no. I'll do this. Hey, Kevin, what's up, man? I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace. And pancake send to Kevin.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And people are like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then, so this is what happens. People get excuses and they go, well, what happens when I have 10,000 connections that I have to reach out to? And I go, so are you creating an excuse before you can actually create this action? Like I said, first of all, I don't have that many cell phone numbers of people. And how hard is it to just do a 12-second video? Like before you just addressed to me that you want to stand out, you want someone to see what you're doing, and you want someone to like respect what you're doing. And instead of like actually even thinking about implementing a strategy, they make an excuse as to why they can't. And it's bonkers to me. Absolutely bonkers. Should I keep doing voices?
I think so. I mean,
okay.
The views have probably gone to the roof.
Who do you want me to be next?
Well, here's the thing: is just to kind of talk about back to pivoting and what people are willing to do or not to do. And man, people don't want to do anything that's outside of what they know or a change, and it's just the reality of how people work. Change is hard. We've changed multiple times, and then this whole pandemic thing, we had to change again. We had to make concessions. We have to do a lot of things, but we got clients that immediately made changes that we were inspired by, and I've actually recorded some podcast episodes about. Mm-hmm. We have other clients where we came up with our own ideas on how they could change, and still get customers and keep in business. And a few implemented and said, "Wow, that's awesome. We appreciate that. We're actually going to do that," and started to change their business overnight. To stay in business, to not give up. Basically, I'm going to stick through this. And these are like retail type businesses or home service companies that have to go in your home that were pretty much cut overnight.
Right.
And we had a lot of them though go, no, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. We're closed. We're done. Like we're probably out of business. And so to hear some business owners literally say, no, we're done. We're done with this. We're done. We're going to die basically. It's crazy. And some of these, they've been in business for a long time, and it's just, they give up the fight just that quickly. And we're there going, hey, try this, do this. We cut your bill in half. But you should try to do all these other things to stay in business. And so it was just nice to see that some people were like, we'll do whatever it takes. We've had a lot of companies completely pivot.
I think that's life though, right? Some people are willing to roll with the punches and some people aren't. Some people need a haircut, some people don't.
I think you're the one that needs the haircut. I did this myself, man. I didn't have anybody to
I tell people that. I jokingly just like I've been starting to ask people on this show, like, when do you think I'll get a haircut? I'm like, when do you think I'll get a haircut? Because at first I thought it was
to see you and just be.
I know, dude. Like if I literally. Like, let's see if we can do this. Like, look how long that is.
That's awesome. I've never had my hair that long.
Well, I would normally have gotten a haircut. Like,
I get like a mullet going.
But this whole thing went down when I couldn't get a haircut, I guess. And then it just kept getting longer. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, let's just go. We got some messages from Sean Shannon. Sean says, how much of that reaction do you attribute to shock rather than truth? So I think he's talking about people just basically closing. So my strong opinion, if someone immediately abruptly closed without being forced to, it seems like they might have been leaning towards that decision anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Because I remember like when all this stuff went down, we're at like 45 days now, maybe even more than that. Troy sent me some clippers. I have clippers. I'm not cutting my hair.
You can do that live next time.
Chimp Finch says he's going to be 300 pounds with a ponytail when this is over. I hope so. I mean, I think it's great. But I think like there was someone who gave me a call. He's like, on the Monday after all this started, and I'm just like, they're like, yeah, I got let go. And I was just like, we're day one. Like, business and so I said to that person, like, it's very likely they were a staff member, a teammate at this company. I said, look, this is unfortunate, obviously, but it's very unlikely that this is directly because of what's going on right now, that person was making that quickly of a decision, because I mean nothing had even really changed at that point. I mean, we're day one.
Yeah, we were thinking a couple weeks, maybe a month.
No one knew.
So most companies, you would hope, would be in a position to make it that far, right? All right. Well, let's see. If we don't have any income for a month, what's that going to mean for us? The reality is, most companies run paycheck to paycheck. Literally, 1 week and they're done, and that's the scary truth. And I'm in a lot of other business groups, and it's surprising how many people are not prepared.
But they would have made that. They would have made that
business, $5 million.
They had been thinking about that decision anyway. Is my point.
No, I
agree.
I think some people are just maybe they want to get out and they're done, and now's the time. They're using that as an excuse. Number two,
it's not an excuse. They can do whatever they want. But I mean, yeah.
Number two, they're already shaky, and they know it's going to be the death blow for them. A lot of businesses are like super in debt, and they barely are cash, positive anyway. So, a small change, will screw them. The other ones, if you let some people go, like immediately, like were you thinking about letting them go anyway? I think a lot of companies had a lot of people sitting around that maybe are not their best performers, but they just keep them. And they're going to clear house immediately on those people.
So I've been saying this about all this as well, as I think a lot of people are like, oh, like the new normal and changes and things like that. And I'm like, I want you to really sit back and evaluate what you're saying, because I actually believe that a lot of this is the third and fourth side of a bell curve going to how everyone else is, right? Because football stadiums, like I got a lot of facts that I can back this with, right? Like people are already buying things online and not going to stores, right? So people are trying to say that a shopping mall was canned because of this virus. I think that's very hard to believe, right? Movie theaters were already not getting to the extent that they were because of things like Netflix, Hulu, Netflix and chills.
Oh yeah.
Things like that.
In malls like McCarthy here, that was already
many things. So people, my point is people love to sit there and say, this is the reason why that was going, when it's like, actually, we were already moving to this world and a lot of people had adopted it. Now, all those people who weren't willing to, which is a traditional bell curve, right? The people, boom, on the right side of the bell curve who weren't willing to move over and start doing that. Like, think about how many people still don't have a web presence.
They were now forced to do it.
They're now forced to do it. Think about how many people were not doing online reservations, right? I remember, like, now this is my buddy Xerxes Nabong, when he opened his escape room, his first one, he did everything. So basically, it was a cashless, place, because he's like, the only way they can come in is if they already have an appointment. So you go into the place and you already have it done. Right? Like you don't have to have cash there, and It's either filled or it's not. And so I think there's a lot of ways that companies can be efficient. It's obviously very unfortunate on what's going on, but I want people to stop looking at stuff and being like, well, when it goes back to normal, well, what if restaurants never have in seating again? Right? What if everything has to be drive-through or carry out only? People are like, well, how would you do that? I mean, it's not like it's not uncommon, right? Like there are clearly billion-dollar businesses that have been able to do carry out and delivery only.
Oh yeah.
And be fine, right?
Yeah, it's definitely going to leave long-term changes.
It gives people an opportunity to really, I think it really needs, people need to sit and ponder and say, okay, should I be thinking about how to get back to before, which I probably in many cases was not happy with, or is this an opportunity that I've actually been hoping and praying for, and it's here, it didn't look the way that I want it to, but it's here, and this is my opportunity to really sit there and go, what do I really think could be a good experience for my business or for my customers, and something that's going to be good for me, right? Let's not think about before. Let's think about what really the future is looking like. And my buddy Chris Ruddick was telling me this idea, Chris, about Walmarts and everything, right? And so the hardest thing with Amazon is last mile, right? And so getting it to someone's house. And Walmart's never been able to really come through that last mile piece from a delivery perspective, and Amazon really hasn't either. But what happens if Walmart's become, basically they get rid of their retail part of it and just become distribution centers, and people, the drivers go to pick up and then get the delivery from there. And there's more of those than an Amazon headquarters, or people just go carry out and pick up stuff from there. Like it's very possible. Oh, well, there's so much retail space. Okay, well, what if that retail space, which has to be, zoned completely differently, and it has to be cleaner and it has to look differently, doesn't allow people to go in there? It doesn't allow the normal customer to go in there because it's now a warehouse. What happens if that couldn't happen? Why?
It could.
that could be the new normal that you guys are looking at. And so you may never be able to go back into a store. Now, obviously there's going to be multiple sides of it, but that's how I think people need to be thinking about this.
Yeah, I think it's when you mentioned too is, and I talk to people like this all the time. Oh, like an older, I'm thinking of an older business owner type of person, but Facebook, my clients are not on Facebook. Okay.
They might be.
We're not even talking about it. And, you can show them all the data you want to say, yeah, they are. But they've made the decision in their mind that, and I'm just using that as one example, that they don't exist there.
But they're on Facebook, but the person who owns that business will go on Facebook and go on such off-brand rants that actually hurts themselves, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing: like, so they've avoided it. I've seen businesses here, local, just around here, ones that are retail, breweries, restaurants, whatever. Man, the ones that had a big presence online, on social media, they got tons of support from the local community. But they have an audience to go, hey, we're here, and now we're doing these things to get our product to you.
Well, I mean, think about how many people were freaking out. Like, how do I do an online webinar? It's like, I like day one, I was like, guys, it's 2020. It's not 2005. Yeah. Like, we're very lucky that this happened when it did from a digital standpoint, because it's very easy to communicate with people.
Yeah.
So y'all need to stop freaking out.
It's too late. So if you want to try to build a social media presence right now for your business to try to stay alive, I mean, it's just too late. No one can, you haven't built that trust and a community of people that are going to say, yeah, well, we want to help you out and we want to come buy your product. But the people that had done it right and put the time and effort into it were immediately able to just tell everyone their new hours, the new way they're doing business, whatever. And they were able to stay up and running. And so,
because they already had an existing fan club.
And the fact that we're even still talking about social media being something you need to look at doing is ridiculous.
Yeah, people have 2 billion subscribers. I mean, let's get rid of it.
Yeah, it's not a new thing. It's like having a business card. You have it off the bat, and you got to be good at it.
Yeah,
and
Brian,
put a lot of energy into it. And honestly, just hiring us is not enough. Like, the clients have to also do a lot of stuff with it, and we just help kind of amplify it. But it's impossible for us to do everything for a client like that.
Schumberg says, I do hear that head shaving streams are the in thing right now. Ain't gonna happen. Chip Finch says, I'm going to be 300 pounds when a ponytail when this thing's over. I don't know. Brian Wells says, and this is another thing, right? Like, stick to this, because people who don't stick into this, they have a huge opportunity to, I think most people quit too soon, right? And I think there's even like one of the most of you TED Talks says that timing is everything, right? And so, I mean, I think this goes into this. So Brian Wells, owner of Express Transportation. Express Transportation? I feel like I'm missing a word in there. Is it just Express?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Brian, if we screwed that one up.
Sorry, buddy. I see Brian at the gym every once in a while, but the gym's closed. My number one competitor just closed and gave us all their clients. They are retired military and older. I'm pretty sure they already made their money and were just cutting their losses. But what's interesting out of that is you probably had a relationship out of this that you were able to get that opportunity out of it. And so good on you for that. So let me ask you this, Kevin. If a client was coming to you, and we'll wrap up soon. If a client came to you and said, how do I tell the world that my restaurant that I've had forever is we're going to reopen, and I want you to help me with that. But then also, like, I think people are probably afraid of like the cleanliness of stuff and like, how is it safe and stuff like that. What would you do? How would you let people know that like this place you're about to go in, you're going to be okay?
Yeah. So one, I think that's a tough one. So for one, I've seen, I'll start with saying, I've seen stories of where some places are like, hey, we're going to open and we're legally allowed. So we're going to open. And the community just bashed the crap out of them for even saying that they're going to open. And so they basically got a lot of negativity and probably lost more business by kind of jumping ahead to say, hey, we're going to be open. You come on in. And we'll stay safe. I think when the time comes when it's like, okay, we're going to open up places and people are starting to feel more comfortable. You're going to have to do a lot of work to figure out how you're going to stay safe and clean. And then you're going to have some unique ways to show people how that's actually happening. I think there's going to have to be, video showing how you're doing that, how you're, customers actually in there. Even maybe testimonial videos like, yeah, I've been in here twice. They're keeping it clean. So I think it's more than just you saying you're doing it, but having customers resonate with that and say, yes, I feel comfortable in here. This is very clean. They kept, every other table, seating apart. And this is our precautions that we go through. And I feel like it almost has to be like it can't just be once a day. It's got to be pretty much on the hour. We do a full scrub clean. Almost like Zach, you've been to Mission Barbecue. Me and you've been there a few times. At noon, they play the national anthem and everyone stands up and whatever. I think that'd be a good idea for this situation. Like every hour on the hour, everyone stands up, a crew comes through, kind of cleans everything up, and then boom, back to it. And people see that that's happening. People recording that and pushing on social media. Hey, Chick-fil-A is, doing this.
Try to figure out how to socialize that aspect of it. So like I was at Kroger this morning. I go to the grocery store once a week. I might be able to get it to every 10 days, but right now it's every 7 days.
We use Instacart.
So Eric is telling me that Eric J. Olson is telling me that I need to use Amazon Fresh, which apparently, and I'm just like, I don't know. I got to pick those right apples.
We use Instacart, and I think Amazon owns them, but we make the order, and then we can go pick it up or get it delivered. Either one.
I personally am terrified of people's cars.
That's probably we spray everything down, wipe everything down.
Yeah, so like I just think of like so from like a safety perspective, like I think about like the disinfectant of things that needs to happen. I'm already like I've already been a germaphobe. Right. But like me having to press certain things and like, I'm like, ugh, gross. And then that person was in their car and they're like, oh, I'm wearing gloves. Well, your car is not a glove. So I always freak out about that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's not like delivery is like a big popular thing.
Well, yeah. So for one, I would tell most people, if you're opening a restaurant and you're trying to talk about
But
that.
I was going to say that there's people actually cleaning the doors on the and the carts, the glass doors at the Kroger. But
But if you haven't already gone to curbside and delivery, then you're way behind. And so I don't know if we'd take on a client that's like, well, we're not doing any of that stuff, but we're going to open up and just talk about how we're safe inside. I don't know if I'd be comfortable even signing a client that just was like, we're going to push the issue. We want people to come in and try to make up some good reason for that. But I would say, what are you doing to adapt? Like, you haven't done all these other things yet? Like, you need curbside. You have to have takeout. You have to have delivery.
Yeah.
If you haven't, then that's going to be the new norm. Like, you need to be equipped to do delivery. Pizza places have been doing it forever, and they know exactly what they had no change for them at all. They probably grew.
When I think people are like, well, Pizza Hut this, I'm like, yes, I get it. You don't have to look at the food. Look at the process. Look at the process of a Panera. Look at the process of, look at the ones that you love, the ones that you hate, right? Look at the process, not the brand.
Absolutely. So I just think, these places still have you can still have a physical presence in a physical place, right? Because you got to make the food and all that, but you got to get on board. You have to be doing these things if you haven't already.
If someone was interested in learning more about you, Kevin Daisey, they can go to linkedin.com/in/Kevin Daisey. I think it's /in.
Don't forget the E one. Yeah. Or you can just do @Kevin Daisey pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. So look at the screen where it says Kevin Daisey. We're in the show notes where it says, and it'll be there. Kevin, I'm going to leave you with one last question.
All right.
Are you ready for it?
I don't know.
All right. Thanks. And have a wonderful day.
Oh, man.
No, I mean, I asked you if you're ready for a question, which was a question.
Oh yeah.
I would have asked you 2 questions. You're like, what is going on here? Any final words that you want to say?
No, I would just stay safe. If you run a business, I hope, you've done some things to pivot and change. Obviously, reach out to me or Zach and just tell us what you've done that's unique. I got tons of stories of businesses that have made changes. And so it's just inspiring to see, and just constantly trying to come up with new ideas of how we continue to stay in business, pay our employees, you can keep the dream alive. But it's just a rude awakening of how you're doing things, and you're forced to change sometimes. So
favorite sport?
My favorite sport?
Yeah.
Surfing. Which is, you might not think of it as, it's not a team sport, but it's my favorite sport.
Okay. Well, there goes my question.
Hey, I've also, I actually worked, I watched Formula One on Netflix. There's a series on Formula One. It's 2 seasons long. It's awesome. So I'm actually kind of into Formula One. I'm actually looking forward to that whenever they have it again.
That's cool.
And then golf. So that's all I got.
Brian Wells says, we're transporting old folks and rehab patients, so we have to wear masks, gloves, and disinfect after every ride. There's so much unknown, so we have to be extra careful without freaking people out. Yeah, I mean, not to mention when you mandate these things, like, what if you are already a 1% profit business and there's 2% to pay for all this stuff? Like,
yeah,
things are going to change in that. So it's a wild world out there. Understand what you're really getting into, and check out Kevin Daisey, because he says, 1 out of 17 things on LinkedIn is pretty funny that he says.
That's right.
And next time you see me, maybe I'll have a haircut. I don't know. But thanks for watching. Follow me everywhere and subscribe at Zach Miller Says. That's ZACK Miller Says. And I'll do peace. You do pancakes?
What is it? How do you do pancakes? Like that?
I don't know. Peace and pancakes, y'all.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening. Peace.
Later.
And pancakes. That's what you were supposed to say. Peace and pancakes. Later.